Yo, my peoples, what's up? Welcome to Shelf Stories, the channel that tells tales from games, books, and life. And also, welcome to the One Stop Co-op Shop podcast. My name is Jason. Thank you so much for stopping by for this latest chat with friends. And I have a friend over here. He's a new friend that I have met throughout the land of COVID. This is somebody who I was introduced to recently. He did me a couple of solids along the way. You may have seen myself on the More Meeples the Merrier big stream on BGG that was run for a couple of months. Also, this man got me the creator spotlight on BGG, which was a really great thing as well. So just a really open-hearted, great gentleman. He runs the Meepleville Gaming Cafe, I believe, in Las Vegas. Yep, there we go. And and he's just a really
Dice Tower West too.
What's that?
Yep.
Dice Tower West too. The runner of Dice Tower West, and a whole new segment on the Dice Tower looking at older games. Just a person who is a really open-hearted guy, a person who personifies fun and who personifies, just like gaming in all shapes and sizes, except for co-ops, which is the reason why he's on this show. But let me go. He is Timm Metivier. Welcome to the show.
Oh, Jason, that was a wonderful introduction. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. But it's great being here, man. I've been looking forward to doing something like this with you for a long time.
You have been doing all the work. I've just been showing up, rolling out of bed. Time for me to do a little bit of work to get us together. So the occasion of this was I think it was either the last stream or the stream before, where I think it was you had us name a couple of games out. I think it was like foreign language names. And I said Hanabi. And you said you love Hanabi. We've both played thousands of games of Hanabi, but then it came forth that you're not the biggest fan of cooperative games.
That is very true.
And so I said, you know what? I'm on the One Stop Co-op Shop. We have to hash this out.
Yes. Because I'm sorry. I just want to make it clear. We're going to differentiate what we're talking about co-op games here, because when it comes to fully open information co-ops, despise them, do not like them at all. I think they're horrible. We'll get into that. But co-ops that have hidden or not full, I don't know if you know the exact proper term for it, information, those I absolutely limited information. Right. I absolutely love.
We will get into that distinction. We will get into the criticism of co-ops. Well, we're the One Stop Co-op Shop, so we talk a lot about the games that we love. So it'd be nice to kind of bring in another perspective for people who, like, why can't we become bigger? Where is the resistance? So I figured it would be a good voice to talk about that.
Fantastic.
However, we were talking before the channel, and it's like, okay, we're about to get into it. I'm like, you know what? I got to record this part too. So not only is he a co-op hater, Timm is he is the proprietor of a gaming cafe. I think it's called Meepleville Cafe.
Meepleville Board Game Cafe, correct.
In Las Vegas, Nevada. And I didn't know this before the call, but so we're in the land of COVID and it is opening. And it is happening. People are coming into the doors and I'm really curious. So Nevada hasn't exactly, fared like super well during the line of COVID. So it's been a little bit of a struggle. So talk us through the last couple of months. Talk us through the decisions that you were going through in order to be able to finally open up Meepleville.
Oh, okay. Well, first and foremost, I have always followed the CDC guidelines, the state guidelines, the federal guidelines regarding masks, regarding occupancy and all that kind of stuff. And just to kind of go back from the beginning, March 17th is when I closed. I was closed all of March, all of April. May 1st, they allowed curbside pickup. So I did that for, I don't know, maybe a month and a half, whatever. But then we opened up. And again, they still weren't quite sure of things because we were able to open up and have people in and they were able to sit together with no masks. And you know what I mean? Because they were still kind of learning, but then they all of a sudden learned that's not a good idea. So we got back down. And so I think since probably September, we were at 25%, I think it was, occupancy, mask required, of course. And we didn't operate like a restaurant because there are a lot of restaurants where you go in to eat and once you get to your table, you're allowed to take off your mask and eat. We did not do that. We were like, hey, if you're at your table, you have your mask on, pull it down, take a drink, pull it back up. Like we were like, that's what we wanted to do. We did that. And then here in Nevada, it's just been going up. So it went from like 25 to like, 33. up to 40, up to 50.
Mm.
And
So there
now,
was like a regular schedule of like occupancy percentage that
correct.
and days, like you could foresee. It's like, okay, in 10 days, 50% occupancy. Okay.
Yes. And they also, I just had one last week. They have people coming around checking. They come in with like their badges and clipboards and stuff, and they're looking at occupancy, make sure you have your occupancy sign, seeing your parameters, checking your sanitation, your mask, and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, so people have been on it. And the customers, like the patrons of Meepleville, the people coming in have been fantastic. Everybody's been coming in, following the guidelines, following the rules. We got hand sanitizer all over the place. We're wiping down the tables and sanitizing. But the governor here in New York feels that by June, this May, yeah, he feels by June 1st, we should be at 100% open here in Las Vegas.
Excellent. Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
so I mean, there's different schools of thought, right? So like we have a couple of game stores here that are kind of they stick with curbside, and they stuck with like the limited opening, and like they're not doing the full opening at all. Like even if there's like allowing capacity, like we allow like 80%. It's like, nope,
Right.
we're not just doing it. It's not worth it. We're just curbside and outdoor, something. So then you go in a different way. So I mean, I don't know if the economic kind of pushed it, or if it's just like a sense as a gamer that people needed the social contact. Like what is kind of like some of the thinking behind, I mean, I don't need to know like the nuts and bolts of anything, but like some of the mentality and thinking behind just going along with the opening and kind of pushing towards more and more occupancy.
Just guidelines. If the guidelines told me I couldn't have people in, I wouldn't have people in. But if the guidelines said I could have 25% occupancy, I'm going to follow the guidelines and do that. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm trying to get my business back going and opening again, not exceeding any laws, rules, or regulations, just going up to what they allow. So I don't know what it is like when you say, people are just continuing to do that. If that's the state regulations, then I would have done the same thing. But yeah, I'm just following state guidelines.
Yeah, I guess like, I mean, so I'll rephrase the question. Some people are undershooting the state guidelines because of safety and because
Okay.
of different things. Like maybe they have paycheck protection loans, or they have some kind of other income stream in order to be able to continue to function. So, I mean, was that a consideration, or was it like, okay, I have to get this going. I have to have people in here.
Well, I mean, it's just a little bit of both. Yeah. I mean, I needed to get people going because I wanted to, make sure Meepleville sustained and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I mean, I don't know if I really have. The one thing I didn't do, to be honest, is, and as you know, I've cut back on YouTube and stuff like that, but also my social media. So I just started today, actually, sort of being proactive, bringing up my Instagram, Facebook, but I wasn't publicly being proactive, trying to get people in. So that's the one thing that I sort of did to keep down volumes and level, because as of right now, it's still just me, my manager, and my kitchen manager. Those are the only two I was able to keep on. So it's just been us three since March of last year. You know what I mean? So that's what I have done personally, is just not really blasted out there to try to get people to come, to keep the numbers low and to make sure we can stay at the guidelines.
And that's it. All bets are off now. Like we're full steam ahead, right?
Yeah, again, whatever we're opening, whatever we're doing, I am gonna get there, because again, it's one of those kind of things. Again, me and my beliefs and all that kind of stuff. So I'm a real hardcore masker, got vaccinated 100% and all that kind of stuff. But at some point, we have to trust the science. I took the vaccine, I'm vaccinated. Hopefully people get back. We have to sort of resume some sort of normalcy soon.
Have you heard from gamers? Have people talked, your patrons, like when you own a cafe, you have regulars, right?
Correct.
People who you just, or you see over and over again. And have you heard from them saying, oh, I need this. So I need, your bridge group and your euchre group. Like you could talk about those regulars and what you're hearing from them about, what they need in terms of social contact.
Yeah. I mean, we are social animals, right? We we aren't solitary animals like there are some in the animal world who live their whole life solitary animals. We are social animals. We need human interaction, and people thrive it and they love it. And that's what I've tried to establish at Meepleville, because it's not about selling a game; it's more about community, and that's my whole business model. That's what it is. Just the community, bringing people together and doing that, and people appreciate that, and they also have really appreciated the fact how strict we've been and how we have followed the guidelines, because we have not wavered at all, and people have been really behind us for us doing that.
And what are some of the groups that you have coming in that are regulars?
So we have Bridge. Bridge right now is Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday during the day. In June, they'll be 5 days a week. And sorry, you might hear my cat back there.
Oh, the familiar cat. And we heard from the cat every single stream. The cat would pipe up.
Yes. Yes. And actually, they are doing because and I'm not using hyperbole here. Their average age is probably 70, 75 in Bridge. So they're actually doing 2 days, Tuesdays and Thursdays, vaccine only. So you must show your vaccination card, because they want it. There are some people who are at more high risk. Euchre comes in Thursday. They've been a big group steady with us for probably 3 years now. Got the Las Vegas Backgammon Club. They're with us on Tuesday nights. So they've been coming back. We have a Pinochle group. We're starting our first Dungeons and Dragons tables this Saturday. But the state has gone up to 10 people per table now, but we're only allowing 6, a DM and 5 participants. So we're doing 2 sessions, one at 12:30, one at 5:30. So we're having 6 people at a table for Dungeons and Dragons. And also, like, I've got a graduation party this Friday coming in. They've rented like the whole lower area. So yeah, it's getting back to, looking sort of like it was pre-March 17th.
And also, was it Dice Tower West? So Dice Tower West was canceled 2 straight years.
No,
right?
no. So we ended March 1st of 2020 was Sunday, was the last day of the convention.
Oh, you just got it in. Okay.
So we had what's funny, Jason? So at Dice Tower West, I was hugging people. I haven't seen people. Yeah. Oh, give me a hug, give me a hug. A week later, I was up at Gamma in Reno, or Tahoe, Reno, I think it was. Yeah. And up there, all of a sudden, we're like doing the elbow kind of thing. And then 3 days after that is when we shut down. I was like, then you don't touch anybody. So it was in a real quick succession to see how it just the decline of, this COVID and what happened and everything.
So you had Dice Tower West was happening, like, I forget what the state of the news was. Like, was it like buzzing a little bit, like at the convention? Like, people were kind of talking about it a little bit?
Oh, yes. Because here are 2 things that happened to us. Number one, our big sponsor was G-Stone. I don't know if you're familiar with them.
No.
It's an app out of China. There's this wonderful lady. Her name is Jinjin Chen, I believe it. Jinjin. She's lovely. But anyway, she is one of the owners of the company, and they were sponsoring Dice Tower West because they have this app, for gamers to get tables together in groups. They couldn't come. They were coming, everything. One of their people happened to be in the US before they locked down China. So he was able to come to the convention, but they couldn't. And then the hotel started getting affected, right? Because a lot of groups were canceling, because we have a lot of tourists and out of country conventions and stuff. So one night of the convention, their room rates, like say our room rates were like $69, they went down to like $29 a room or something. And we were like, what are you doing? You're killing us. Like, how can you can't drop like $50, $40 a night from us, what we're charging our people. So they worked out a deal with us and all that. So yeah, there were a couple of things.
Oh man. So then Dice Tower West got canceled for this year, but then did you make an announcement for next year? Like,
absolutely, and I'll make another one if you don't mind.
There we go. Yeah. Let's do it. Let's do promo.
Hey, here we go. Look at it right there. Yes. March 2nd through 6th of 2022. We've announced the dates. We haven't announced the location, but we will be in a new location from last year. Dave and I have been working every Tuesday for the past, like 3 or 4 months, building it up, having meetings with Tom regularly and stuff. So yeah, it's going to be fantastic. We're really looking forward to it. And we think by March of next year, I don't know what your feelings are. You can tell me what you think. I just truly believe personally that by March of 2022, it will be more normal than it has been in a while. And I think a lot of people will really feel comfortable and safe going to a convention. At least those are my thoughts.
I mean, you hear about all this stuff, variants and, things happening on the other side of the world. And Are we going to get to herd immunity? I don't know. Like I'm not in public health, but as a psychotherapist who meets with the public regularly, I have to keep, informed, and, all the guidelines that, well, as a proprietor of a business, you have to keep informed, look at the website
Absolutely.
every single day. So like, we're all public health officials.
Yeah, that's true.
Undeputized, unpaid health.
But like you say, we do have
Right.
to be up on
We
the
have
news
to
and up
be.
on information. Yeah.
And so like, and so it's still up in the air. And I'm not making any plans. I'm not going to any cons this year. But we'll see. I just remain hopeful. I, I think board gamers are a little bit better about, or have been, and at least especially in our area, everyone's wearing masks. Everyone's like, let's just do it. What are we,
Right.
just what are we doing? Why are we politicizing this? Like, if this is if this is a smart thing to do, left, right, center, red, blue, whatever it is, just freaking do it. Wear a mask for your life. Get your vaccine. Live your life. Not to say that there's people who like have things about the vaccine or whatever it is. I'm open to those discussions, but I just following the best of the science. Let's just kind of do this and do what we need to do. So
Absolutely. No, and I agree 100%. And I'm truly like that too. But again, I'm going a little bit more with science and guidelines, because even the CDC says that small gatherings, people who are fully vaccinated can get together without masks.
right.
Like just today, I played hearts. All four of us are vaccinated. We didn't wear a mask. Yesterday, I went over a friend's house. We had our little game day and magic get together, all vaccinated, no mask. There were three of us. So I'm living my life, but I'm still following guidelines. When I go out to Home Depot, I put on a mask. Go out to the store, put on a mask. So, I'm still doing everything, and I know they're making boosters, and they're still developing all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I got to live my life. I'm doing what they say, but at the same time,
Mm-hmm.
have to live our lives, right?
I have small kids, so it's getting really tough for me to get like more than 3 feet away from my house. I'm lucky if I can get to PAX, live in Hartford, Connecticut, but at some point I would love to come out to the left coast, visit some of my friends out there, visit yourself.
That'd be fantastic.
Chris and Wendy Yee used to live out there. I know Crystal Dax lives out there, so
That's
I
right.
have
Yeah.
some people that I would love to visit. So I
It
will
would be great to have you out here.
definitely check that on the calendar, or maybe even Gen Con. I have some news about Gen Con, but I may save that for
Okay.
a
All right.
little bit. We'll save that for the off camera.
Okay.
I'll
Sounds
tantalize
good.
the audience. I have a little bit of news about Gen Con for next year.
All right.
Anyway.
All right. Good. Good.
Okay. So cool. So Meepleville is happening. The store is happening. Congratulations to you. And
Yeah.
now,
Thank you, man. Thanks for bringing it up, and thanks for talking about it. I apprete that.
no, we need to get the word out. We need to get the word out about Dice Tower. We need to get you are a businessman. This needs to happen. You are you're a community guy, but you're a businessman.
Yeah.
You can't shy away from that. There's no shame in that whatsoever. All right. Now we get into it.
All right. Oh, let's go.
Yes.
Let's go. Bring it on.
All right. Okay. So this is the One Stop Co-op Shop.
Yep.
And as Tim was saying at the beginning of the call, we were talking about co-ops, cooperative games. And you're a proprietor of a business, so it's not like you're coming at this from just your personal area. You see people come in and like what games they're playing, and and you see how different people react to it. So I imagine it's not just your feeling; it's like something that you're also seeing amongst people, a wide enough swath of people. So let's get into it, right? There's this distinction between like a pure co-op, full information co-op, pandemic, Flashpoint. You see him behind myself. I got all of them. you don't see any cars behind Tim. Barely any.
There probably are. Yeah.
Thunderbirds, Forbidden Size, Freedom of the Underground Railroad. I mean, Eldritch Horror. These are all kind of just like, let's sit around the table, mostly shared resources, and solve the puzzle together or have the adventure together. Do you have a problem with those types of games? So let's get into it.
All right. So first of all, I just want to also clarify something else you just said. So yes, as a proprietor of a store, I do have people come in, and believe me, I do recommend the kind of games. I don't know. So what we're going to talk about is me personally, and I'll tell you exactly my feelings personally, but let me give you a perfect example of a game I think is fantastic for new timers and for people I teach all the time. And that's a game, Castle Panic. Castle Panic is 100,000%, however you want to say it, open information, right? Everything is out there. But it's good because it does get that sense of, helping each other and talking and communicating. However, the one problem that I have noticed with a lot of people I do teach, and again, talking about the general public, is it's so hard for people my age, older, even, 20s, 30s, to grasp the concept of I can't win. We are trying to beat the game. Some people just don't comprehend that. And I'm sure you've come across that. And so it's
socialized, like, a normal game, a family game is a game in which you compete.
Correct. There's a winner and everybody else loses. That's just how games have been since day one in pretty much everybody's life. So a game that doesn't have that, it's just hard for a lot of people to really grasp their mind around, but it's still a good experiment, a social experiment of learning how to cooperate and talk together and how to pull back, go ahead, all those kind of, factors and variables in it. But yeah, so a game like that is very good that I like to teach to people.
Okay. All right. And the new Castle Panic is actually kickstarting. So nice deluxe edition,
Yes.
all like, pretty and everything.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. So I think that people articulate two different issues with them, and I want to see if you hit both of those things just in your thoughts. So
okay.
So we'll specify this is Timm Metivier right now, his opinions about co-op games.
Okay. So first of all, my opinion about fully cooperative games. And just for I don't want to. I mean, is it okay if we name the game? Because I don't want to bash the game.
No, go ahead. Sure.
But, okay, I'm just going to use Pandemic because everybody knows that. So I'm not bashing Pandemic at all. Okay, yeah.
Look at all that Pandemic.
Look at it all. Okay, so yes. So please, audience, just so you know, I'm just using that as an example, but I'm not bashing Pandemic at all. So Pandemic is fully cooperative information. And a lot of these discussions, Jason, I've had with people about this topic, one of the things they always say is, well, you just need a better game group. And I'm like, well, no, I mean, it's not up to the group to make the game good. The game should be the conduit for I don't know. But anyway, so I don't necessarily agree with that, but people have said that. You can tell me your thoughts on that. Mm-hmm. So the two things I don't like, my big thing is number one, trust, and number one, anxiety. So I'll talk about those. Okay. So being anxious and having anxiety. So in a game like Pandemic, if it's your turn and you have your 4 actions or whatever it is, and this and that, now there may be somebody at the table who just who's quick thinking and they're good. And they're like, oh, okay. Yeah, they should do that. Yeah. That's the optimal move. And pretty much if you run it through a computer, there is going to be an optimal move on each turn. There will be the best percentage of move that should be taken. So if it's not taken, now say the person is me, I know what they should do, and they don't do it. All of a sudden, my gaming is starting to get ruined because I don't want to say anything because I don't want to be the alpha gamer. But they're kind of not making the game good for me. So it's not going to be an enjoyable experience for everybody because you can't be your true self in a sense because you're going to ruin it either for them, for you, or something. But it's just not going to be pleasant because of that. Do you get what I'm saying?
Okay, so you're talking. Okay, maybe I guess I disagree.
We're just talking about the anxiety part. I just want to make sure we're talking about that, right?
Yeah. I mean, I guess I disagree about the best move, right? I think because that's what generates the anxiety. What generates the anxiety is I see the best move and they're not doing it. It's like, why aren't you doing it? And so it's like, I guess I disagree about the best move. Like, I mean, I think they're, because so they have the Pandemic World Championships, and how they set that up is it's games of Pandemic, and it's like many tables, and it's the same game of Pandemic, like the same one, same order of the deck, same like they just set the same placement of the cubes and all that stuff, and those games kind of just go wildly differently because people make this choice, not that choice. They fly here and they don't fly there. So I think that, and they they don't all lose, a lot of win. So I think I wonder how much of it is the best move and how much of it is, well, this is my idea and this is what I think is the best move. And I'm getting anxiety because of what I think is the best move. And that's a big difference, right? So like, okay, should I be so anxious about if it's just my opinion as opposed to the best move?
No, yes and no. So I agree with you on that point. However, Jason, you do know there are many points in that game where it's blatantly obvious
Fair.
what somebody should do on their turn. Just blatantly obvious.
You have 5 yellow cards. You're standing right next to it. Just do it.
Yes. So anxiety to me is just a big factor, because I just don't think I think everybody is either pulling back a little bit, uncomfortable because somebody else is being too aggressive, because I just don't think everybody has a good time at a fully open cooperative game. That's just my opinion for the anxiety part.
Okay, that's fair.
Okay, the number 2 thing I talked about is trust. Okay, now this is sort of going to take us into, and I don't want to tell you how to go, but segue, but into how I like the co-ops with limited information. Mm-hmm. Now, if that person we're talking about in a fully cooperative game does not do sort of blatantly obvious things, now I've lost trust with them. There's no trust, because like either they don't know the game well enough or whatever, they missed it, they didn't see it, but I can't. So again, it comes to that feeling of not feeling good. But now sort of a little segue, and stop me if you don't want me to sort of segue.
Okay, actually, yeah, sure. I'll stick with this one. Yep. Okay, so in terms of, because it goes back to what you said before with the optimal group, right? Like a lot of co-op gamers are going to say just play with a better group, right? And you have a problem with that, because it's like, they shouldn't have to play with a better group, especially at the proprietor of a cafe, because not everybody is going to come in and be the same group all the time. Like, you're going to have different people, and you don't want to have to lay on a cooperative game and generate all that anxiety for people who are like,
that's true. Yeah.
Anxiety, the board game, have fun.
Right.
And so like, okay, so here's a deeper counter that some co-op gamers will have.
Okay.
That it's okay. So it is group dependent, and we do own that, but so are competitive games. Competitive games are group dependent. There's a lot of things that can go wrong in a competitive game that we just kind of like over the many, many years have been socialized to kind of behave, right? So it's like king making in a competitive game. In king making, let's say you're like either last or second to last, and you got no chance to win, but you still have enough resources to be able to kind of throw it towards a person and let them win. And everybody's like, oh, you should, why'd you do that? And like, that's frowned upon. And, but no one ever says, okay, we need to design competitive games to prevent king making. We just kind of like socially say that's bad. So like, I think a cooperative game will say the same thing about alpha player, that we just need to socialize and give it more time and make that a little bit better.
Yeah, but here's why I disagree with your argument. And I would say it's sort of apples and oranges. Okay. Because when you talk about king making, that for the most part, yes, it may happen contradictory to what I'm about to say, but for the most part, it's a limited portion of the game, and at a certain point, maybe more towards the end, for the most part.
Fair,
okay.
Fair. Mm-hmm.
However, the points I'm talking about are from a fully open cooperative game like Pandemic, are from move 1 to the whole entire game. So I just don't think you have a valid argument bringing up something that is a very small part potentially of a game, where my points are the whole game, right?
No, okay, it's fair. I guess like, okay, so maybe king making isn't the best example, but like okay, it's just like just sore loserism. Like, okay, you did that. Oh, I wanted to do that. I'm playing Lords of Waterdeep with you, and you I'm playing something, and you happen to take the first whatchamacallit, and I turn into a sore loser. Like, it's like, like then the answer is like play with a better gamer, and I don't know.
No, I get that, but again, I understand your point, but I think that what you're talking about, yes, it's fully dependent on the person. It's not inherent in the game. I mean, everybody knows if you sit down at a worker placement that somebody may take a spot that you wanted to go to or whatever. But in Pandemic or a fully cooperative game, it's just built in that it's my turn. I have these cards you can see, these moves, and everybody can see and know what I can do, and everybody has an opinion because it's fully cooperative, and everybody should be able to share. But everybody's going to be pulling back or giving it's just uncomfortable, I think, because you don't quite know what to do. It's not like we're having a conversation, right? We're having a conversation. We can go back and forth, we can kind of give each other time to do all that kind of stuff. But if it's a turn, the turn has to be made. So you got to say something or not, and it's going to be uncomfortable.
Right. I guess okay, so maybe I have so a couple things. So maybe this is just like my own education as a co-op game. I love co-op games, and I'll play them like I will play like the most advanced Pandemic, because I play I have a Legacy group. I play Legacy 1, Legacy 2. We're gonna play Legacy 0 very, very soon in July, I think. And so we're all like, at this point, we should hope on the same page. I just visited one of my friends, One Stop Co-op Shop, Michael Kelly. We played Space Alert. You know Space Alert?
I know the game, but I have never played it, so I know
real-time programming, keep the spaceship alive, and like we both played the game, and we both had the experience of like playing with crappy players. So like we were looking forward to two people and we had such a great time. We had such a great time. Just like we were on a string, right? So I guess what I'll say is like, and I guess I'm so that's that when that happens, that's great. And then I'll have the experience. So like, that's the advanced play, but then there's the beginner play where like, I'll just play a basic game Pandemic with a bunch of new players. I've kind of educated myself to be like, okay, with like, okay, if I see a move, I'm like, okay, let's give some options. Okay, you're struggling over there. Okay, you could do this, you could do this, you could do this. Right. I try not, and at this point, I almost never like say, okay, do this.
Right.
Like, here's some options. And I've learned to kind of like be happy with that because I'm enabling fun. I didn't see that before. Now I see it. And so it's like, so I think like, maybe that's just kind of like my personality. I'm very like, I play a dispatcher. I like to move other people.
Right.
So, I don't know. Like, I just feel like I've adjusted my personality to co-op games, and maybe, I don't know. Like, I just feel like every game you have to adjust your personality somewhat to be a part of the game. And so I think the same thing is possible for co-op games.
I don't know. That might be a whole other conversation. I don't know about that, man.
but if someone's like a raging competitive person, they have to adjust in order to play like a Euro game. Or if someone is like just they're purely tactical, they have to adjust to become a strategy gamer. Like I know, because I know you're more on the strategy end of things. Like there's always adjustments that have to be made on part of the player to be able to play the game.
No, I get it. Yeah, but you did bring up something I want to touch on a little bit. You said enabling fun, and one of the sort of problems, I guess, because I did do Pandemic Legacy just season 1, and I had a wonderful time. We binged it. We did it in like 6 days. Just binged it, but I don't know if it was like the term I'm going to use probably isn't correct, but like sort of like beat down, or no, it was like a long term. So I wasn't necessarily concerned about the moves because I knew it was like a big long thing. And I didn't, I was like, yeah, go ahead. You do what you feel you need to do. You do you kind of attitude. Cause it's like, we've got time, like, there's no rush and blah, blah, blah. And sometimes you would interject, but just the straight Pandemic is like 4 corners. Like we got this game, this amount of time, and it just cuts that down. So you're more heavily invested, I think. So the enabling fun, you know what I mean? I don't know. It's, just not for me.
It's too close a window. Like when you sit down at a table, you want to win, and you don't want to have to like put that in your back pocket.
Correct. Yes, absolutely. Okay. Yeah.
And I guess I'm a little bit more okay with, it's like, okay, I want to win too, but I also want to kind of help people. Like if like, to me, a win is if somebody comes out of a game Pandemic liking Pandemic more. Like that's a win to me. So it's like if I've converted a Pandemic fan, and it's like, or like a similar type game, Flashpoint, Horrified, if I kind of like, set things up, and it's like, okay, maybe I don't do all the ideal moves that I want, but like I've helped make that cooperation space, and people are like, oh wow, this is really cool, I want to play again. To me, that's a win.
Okay. Yeah. No, I agree. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, just not you.
They're just not for me. No, they're just not for me.
All right. So so that's our so we're going back and forth in the regular co-ops, but Tim had a segue that he wanted to get into when it came to trust and other types of limited information co-ops.
Correct. Because as I was saying, I fully believe that sort of trust and cooperation are sort of synonyms. Sure. They sort of need to go together. You can't have one without the other. And if that person is constantly not doing the right thing, you're sort of like losing trust with them. So I think to me, it's no longer not a cooperative game in a sense. And why I'm saying that, because I'll use the poster child for my argument, the kind of game we both love, and that's Hanabi, is that games with limited information, to me, are the epitome of cooperation because it is 100% reliant on trust. And that's why I love it so much, because to me, that's what a cooperative game should be, is inherently needing to trust the other players. Whereas in open information, it takes that, it takes the trust shield away. It's just, or exposes it, I guess I should say.
I guess, okay. So, I mean, obviously I disagree in the sense that if it goes well, like I think you're very scarred by times where it's not gone well. Like where open information pandemic style games go well, you can get that trust. Like you guys like, oh yeah, we're doing this, we're doing this, we're coordinating our powers and we're doing all that stuff. So I think when it goes well, a regular or quote unquote open information co-op game can provide that too. It's just in a limited information co-op game, it's built into the system, and that's something that you really appreciate.
Yeah, because again, that's that like, and let's use another game like The Mind. All right, totally random, arbitrary. Like my wife just doesn't get it. She's like, "What are you looking at me for?" You know what I mean? She's like, "Why are you staring at me? Why are you like?" She's like,
Stop looking.
Yes, exactly.
I'm a 92. Fine, leave it alone. That's why I'm sitting here.
But just that feeling of that unspokenness of, the body language, just getting in tune, getting each other's mind, the feeling, the trust, the blah, 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 what it generates. And again, I haven't played a whole lot of pandemic or those type of co-op games that I don't really like. So I have a very small sample size, but games like Mind and all those others that I have played a lot of, it's just such a joyous feeling because that trust and the unspokenness and the cooperation is just so delicious. You know what I mean? It's just, it's fantastic. So I really enjoy that type.
So actually, let me ask you a question. What is your opinion of escape rooms? Because if you had to pick an analog to an open cooperative game, it's an escape room. Because it's everybody has the same information, and we're in the room solving it together, whether we're playing an unlock game or whether we're like in the actual room. Like basically, what I think of open-ended co-op games is like it's basically an escape room on a board. We're all solving the puzzle together. So do you not? So like when you experience an escape room or have it, I don't even know if you have.
I have.
Okay, so like, do you not feel that same sense of trust when you're in an escape room?
Well, and again, to me, there's sort of a little apples and oranges. And again, I know there's nuances to, our discussions, what we're talking about. But again, in pandemic, everything is visible, right? Except I'm not talking about the stack of cards where you just put the other cities and all that kind of stuff, because nobody knows that kind of stuff, right? Which card may come up with, right? But everything is visible and all the options are there to see for everybody's turn. Whereas an escape room, I literally may not see everything or see something. So it's a little bit different because
there's too much. It's too big.
Yeah, you may have to look under a table or reach around something, like, you know what I mean? So I think they're a little different in that aspect because you just can't, it's not all there. It's to me, it's more of a limited information co-op.
Okay. At least the bigger escape rooms. Yeah.
Correct. Yes.
Okay. All right. Okay. I mean, I love them both. So I don't have to, defend one or the other. Like I love them both. So what I wanted to do was as we round out the episode, you have games that you like, and you've mentioned a couple of them. I imagine. Oh, hold on a sec.
Yes, I'm sorry, Jason. I'm sorry. I said I had maybe a drop the mic.
Oh, okay.
I want to throw this at you.
Go for
it. To kind of ramp up my side of the discussion. It may or may not. I don't know. Fair, I think it's pretty cool. We both love Hanabi. Love it. I love it. And again, to everything I just talked to you about, the trust, whatever, blah, blah, blah. It's great.
I literally have two games of all the games that I've rated 10 out of 10, only two, Pandemic and Hanabi.
Really?
Yep.
Wow. To be
Right
two
there.
polar opposites. Yeah. That would be a 1 in a 10 to me. Anyway, no. But no. But so like even like so when there's 5 people playing Hanabi, that's kind of even better, right? Because like if it's like my turn, then like I know who can see what, or like the 2 people. So it's even more. But anyway,
Yeah.
I want to throw this at you, Jason, for this discussion. We both love Hanabi for it is limitation. Now, what? And I only play with tiles. I call myself a Hasnabi. Okay. I played with cards yesterday. It was horrible. It was absolutely horrible. I hadn't done that in, I don't know, 4 years or whatever. So yeah. Anyway, what would you think of Hanabi if everybody's tiles were open to everybody?
Oh, it's
what kind of game would that be?
It wouldn't even be a game. There'd no challenge.
Boom. That is what a fully open cooperative game is. No challenge. It stinks. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm gonna have to I'm gonna trash that one. Like,
no!
I'm totally like, okay. And I guess this gets to the second issue that people have with cooperative games, right?
Okay.
Before we talked about kind of like the alpha player solo experience, being frustrated, but there's a whole other group of criticism of a cooperative game. The reason why Hanabi like laying down sucks is because there's no AI, there's no challenge. Like, okay, I'm just pick this card, pick this card, and it's fine. In a pandemic type game, there's always like an event deck.
True. No, true.
And there's
true,
and
yeah.
Flashpoint has the event deck, and you roll some dice in there, and like even like their newer games have kind of innovated. Like there's a game called Paleo, which is basically open information, but like it's face down cards, and like you kind of get a little bit of information, but not a lot. But there's a lot of different ways in which like co-ops do it, but there's always something limited. The question is the limited information, is it limited by the deck, or is it limited amongst the players? Right. So
Yep.
that maybe that be that distinction. And so like there are people who don't like that playing against a bag of random, right? It's like, okay, you're a Euro player. So like, I know you've played Puerto Rico many times. Puerto Rico is a very low luck game.
True.
And the other games, you're a food chain magnate guy, right? That game is no luck at all.
Food chain, yes. Love me some food chain.
No. No luck at all. So like a cooperative game, like very few of them like have low luck. Or most of them are quite lucky. Like a game of Pandemic is quite lucky because of that event deck and because of all those things. And so like that's the other reason why people don't like co-ops, is because they want more control. And they want more kind of steady information. So that's the one criticism that I wanted to put. And I own that. That's fine. But that goes against what you said, which is that cooperative games are just Hanabi with all the cards laid out. It's different. I think it's a little bit different.
Okay, it could be, but yeah, because you're right. They do have that event deck, so there's a little bit of randomness and unknowns to everybody. So yeah, I'll give you that.
Right. So then, okay. So what I thought you were going to say about Hanabi is we both play it differently. We both play it very, very differently.
I'm sure we do. And you'd probably not like playing with me. My friend put me on blast yesterday for that too. Yes.
So we'll hold off that discussion because you do have a list of 5.
I do.
Games. So like I assume the Hanabi's on it, so we'll get them when we get there. But so now we're going to transition to the top 5 list. Timm's cooperative games for non-cooperative gamers.
Okay. So I'll go with number 5. And I'm sure you've played every single one of them on here.
Probably.
So I've only played this once, had a fantastic time. I loved everything about it. That was Battlestar Galactica. And because the reason I liked it is, number 1, it actually had a board. So like you're playing a real board game with like the little ships attacking the big ship. And this is, I mean, it was fantastic. And the trader part, you don't even know if one's going to appear, right? And you don't know whether it's the first age or the second age, whatever it is, like the phase, because this or that. And I like how people put in the colors and it's like, well, I didn't have green or what. I mean, all that tension it created, and it was just fantastic. It was phenomenal because it mixed the actual real board game And what's good about it is you have time to, if you're the Cylon or you're, whatever, you have time to really disguise that, because you can make a lot of very successful moves and turns cooperative and kind of then sneak a couple things in. So I just thought it was very well designed, very well built. The IP means absolutely nothing to me, but I enjoyed it tremendously, and I can't wait to play it again.
Battlestar Galactica is way out of print.
Yes.
If you haven't picked up Battlestar Galactica, then good luck finding another copy. But no, it is a fabulous one. And there are some people that give pushback that it's like that's not real co-op because it's a trader. Nonsense. The trader has to cooperate, or else they're a terrible trader.
Yes.
Or else they're a terrible trader. So to me, that's a cooperative. I got Dead of Winter. You see Dead of Winter up here.
Dead of Winter.
Shadows of a Camelot. That's down here.
Shadow,
Most of these co-ops I have one somewhere.
Those are
to
great.
me, they perfectly count, because at least if there's a trader, at least the trader has to, for 90% of their game, has to cooperate. And yes, Battlestar Galactica, it's a little on the long side for me.
Right.
It's a long game, but it is an oldie but goodie.
Right. Okay. And I do have an honorable mention, but I'll get to that sort of last, because I'm not even quite sure if it fits on here. My number 4, I don't know if I like it necessarily because of the game. I do like it. I think it's a tremendous game, but I like what it was to its successor. And number 4 is Codenames Duet.
Right.
I thought Codenames Duet, or I shouldn't say thought, think, is fantastic. It's, to me, it's far superior to Codenames. And just the way they designed it, they did a great job, and I think it's so good. And it's really good, like, again, talking about Meepleville and bringing people in, it's a really good date game.
Yes,
it's a really good first date game, getting to know somebody, because you don't have to necessarily be invested. And not only that, a lot of it, because a lot of board games are down here, but Codenames Duet can come up here, and you can have conversation in between and talk and still play the game. So with all of that being said, I think Codenames Duet is a fantastic cooperative game.
I think Codenames, so I love Codenames, but I'm sick of Codenames. But I think what you said about Duet is like, even my wife, and my wife doesn't game at all, she will play Codenames Duet.
Yes.
And it was, I think, our number, like we recently did our top 100 cooperative games, something like that. It was like number 6. It was really, really high.
Yeah, it's really good. I just think they did such a wonderful job with that.
And
it's almost
right there. Look at that, I got Codenames.
Nice. It's almost one of those instant buys too. Like, if people do play, then they go and buy it. So there you go.
Got them all. I whatever you name, I probably have it somewhere in this.
I'm sure you do. I'm sure you do. Number 3, I put 2 of them because, and you'll know why I put 2 of them.
Sure.
The Mind and the Game.
Very similar.
One is without talking, and both sort of without talking. And I'm like I'm sort of like on the jerk end of playing Hanabi, like we talk about, like as far as strictness and rules and no talking. Like, so you may not like playing with me. I don't know, because I don't want any talk. I want to play the game. Anyway, The Mind, again, I just played it yesterday with some friends. It's that feeling you get each level, even at level 1. Level 1 is one of the hardest, because you only have one piece of information. It's just kind of sort of random. But each level you progress, you feel better and better. It's so good. And the game, again, and here's another thing I noticed, Jason, and again, maybe talking about people playing cooperative games. So the game is one of the games I teach a lot to new timers, because it's very simple. Cards are numbered, 2 through 99. You got to put them down, blah, blah, in sequential order. Right. But when I teach a lot of people, I see them almost getting real anxious if they make a big jump. And I'm always like, hey, look at the deck. We got a long time. It's cool.
It's fine.
But not only that, Jason,
there's 2 piles, you're good.
Yes, but not only that, Jason, it comes back to what I said before. It's about trust. If you make a 20, 30 card jump, I am fully confident, I trust you did the best you can. I am not upset. I don't care. It means nothing to me, because I implicitly trust your decision.
Okay.
However, but a lot of first timers haven't learned that yet, right? They haven't learned that other people will be so trusting, right? And may not get mad, right? So
I definitely prefer the Mind to the Game. It's one of those things where it's like, I actually don't own it, but I own 6 Nimmt. and the 6 nymph deck goes from 1 to 100. So I just play the mind with the 6 nymph deck, and I have 3 games for the price of 1.
There you go. So. Yes, but those two I really enjoy.
Sure.
Number 2 is one of the games that I actually learned myself. When I say that, opened it up, knew nothing about it, read the rules, taught my sister. We learned it together, played and all that kind of stuff. I brought it when I went back to Connecticut to visit her a few years ago when it first came out, is Beyond Baker Street.
Ooh.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Now, I know it's very similar, reminiscent of Hanabi and its mechanics and all that kind of stuff. How with the track, the clue track, and you have to 3 piles. And I do think it was thematic in a sense, because you are kind of deducing and using clues and investigating. It's funny because I am a sort of a 0 theme guy. I'm just like, I like mechanics to play the game, but with Beyond Baker Street, I kind of feel like I'm doing an investigation, because you really have to think, okay, wait, I know there's that number, there's only 6 of the color. There's that. I mean, you're really thinking and figuring stuff out. So that really scratches a severe itch for me.
I'm a thematic gamer. I got none of that. I got none of that.
Really?
Nothing from Beyond Baker Street. That game came and went.
Really?
Well, okay.
Wow.
So it's another one of those things where it's like, okay, so like it is Hanabi. It's basically Hanabi with a couple of other things like attached to it. And
yeah.
So like, okay, same thing happened with like King of Tokyo and King of New York. So like King of Tokyo is like this simple dice rolling game, and then King of New York added, like different zones and tiles, and I'm like, no, I'm good. I'm good with a simpler game, right?
Right.
Games do that sometimes, where it's like, this is the next evolution of this game. It's like I like the previous evolution.
No, I get it. Yeah.
So I don't know. I didn't get the theme out of it, and it didn't add anything that Hanabi didn't already give me.
I could see how people that. I just felt a little bit different. I really felt tweaked, and maybe because I was proud of myself for learning the game all by myself. I don't know, but maybe I had a little bit to add to it. But no, I still enjoy Beyond Baker Street. And the number 1 we've talked about is Hanabi.
Of course.
Again, this is more like we talked about before in one of the streams, how it's more comfort food, right?
Yeah.
Because at the gathering that I go to every year, it is the last game, like close the night at 4 or 5 in the morning, whatever. We play Hanabi, and it's just, you get together at the end of the night playing that, and 2 people will play, then 4 will play, 5 will play, some will leave, 3 will play. We'll literally play like 6-8 games, whatever. It's just such a, especially for people who know it and play it and enjoy it and get all that kind of stuff. It's a great game that you can do that. Like I say, play with 3, finish. Hey, let's start another one. Play it, and boom, you just keep going. And it's really, really good. 0 theme, of course, right? The fireworks.
Whatever.
Who knows the numbers? But I think it's ingenious. I don't know. Let me ask you something. You might know this. What was the first cooperative or design of that, of where you can't see your information?
I think, wasn't that it? I thought Hanabi was the first game where you held your cards out.
Was it? Okay.
A cooperative game, like you have Indian poker, like all these great ancient games that are like variations. Like I think this is I think I read somewhere it's like this is kind of I wanted cooperative Indian poker.
Oh really?
Yeah.
But I think he did a fantastic job. I really enjoy it. And again, the 2 things you may not like, I'm real strict. I don't like. So in the rules, how I play now is where we don't talk. We don't say anything. We sit down. The only rule I have to start the game is whatever you do the same thing the whole game. That's it. And then it's up to me to learn to get those things. Because conventions, I'm sure, as you know, aren't necessarily conventions. They're common sense, right? Because the oldest one you get rid of course, that's just common sense. Like the newest information, all that kind of stuff. And then the other thing that you may not like is I never go for points ever, period, of Hanabi. Nope. If
once you discard a 5 or once you discard a double, then it's like, all right, we're resetting. That's how he gets 4 games in the night, people. He doesn't even play to the end. He gets 10 minutes in. You throw that second red 3 away. It's like, nope, reshuffle, do it again.
That's exactly right. Because again, that you're not playing a game. You're done. You're cheating, because if you've discarded a 5, that's giving you so much information. Now you're cheating. It's no, I don't do it.
Okay.
I can't do it.
I actually, that one, I kind of agree with you. I kind of like if someone discards the second thing, the wind comes totally out of my sails. I'm like,
Yeah.
it just like, and I play with a lot of players who like to finish because like they like to do the official thing. And I'm like, ugh, I don't even want to play anymore.
Yeah.
So actually, okay. I'm on your tip there. I think the where we disagree is I do play with pretty active conventions. And when we, and you know, this is something that can be players. I play a lot of Board Game Arena. There, it's kind of like a known thing on Board Game Arena. Conventions are, so like you do this every time. So like if I'm discarding, like I'm only gonna discard the oldest card in my hand. That's always gonna be like the card to my right. Right. So if I go from my left hand to my right hand, I bring it into the left hand, let the card, and then I'm going to discard off of my right. So like, if you need a save, quote unquote, like I'm about to, there's a 5 in my, what they call a chop. Yes, there's a whole lexicon, right?
Oh yeah.
If there's a 5 in your chop, save and you get a 5 clue. It's like, okay, save that. So there's save clues, a color clue equals play. And there's all sorts of like, okay, so there's different conventions, and there's like finesse and reverse and all sorts of stuff. Okay, I play with those actively. The reason I do that is because I like playing with the advanced options, like the multicolor cards, which are much harder.
Yeah, absolutely.
And like there's other expansions, so like you can have black cards, you can have the thing called flamboyance, which are alternative things you play 5s. I love it, and I don't think you can play with those advanced options without the conventions. And I think it's completely legitimate because like there's games like you have a bridge group, like they play with conventions in bridge. They play with conventions in all these other games.
Absolutely.
So like folks who say, okay, we have to play, like we cannot cooperate, otherwise it's illegitimate. Well, like they do it in all these other games. Like why is Snobby different?
Well, no, and again, this is just a me thing, right? So it's not a matter. I never like there are games like in the past. I just learned Gaia or played Gaia for the first time, Gaia Project, about what 3.5 weeks ago, and I've played it 8 times since or something.
Oh my god! Oh no, man.
Because I fell in love with it. It's just phenomenal.
This is what happens when you're not a reviewer. When you're a reviewer, just all like you can never play anything 8 times.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Yeah. But even games like Hanabi, like let's just use this one for an example. I enjoy enjoying playing games, and I'm sure you've run across those people. One of my part-timers, he's a school teacher. He is lost his mind over Terraforming Mars. He's one of those people who knows every card, every possibility, and it's just horrible playing with him, right? Because you've got no chance. I never want to get to that point because to me, I think it diminishes sort of the joy and the wonder if you're just so scientific about a game. So I get it. I know people. I was watching on YouTube. A friend of mine showed me who's really into Hanabi, and 5 people have done what, like 4.5 minutes or something, like with the clues or whatever, getting all of them out.
You can, when you have the conventions down, you can really pound out games. Yeah, it's like,
yeah. And to me, it's like that's like a science project. You're not enjoying the game. So, but I get it. I
will not play the conventions, or not that I won't play, but I won't like enforce the conventions if it's just the regular suits. Like if it's just like the colors, it's pretty easy, right? I mean, I wouldn't say pretty easy because where there's no trust, where there's like miscommunication, it could just be a disaster. So that's totally possible there. But like if you do what you said, where it's like, okay, people are kind of paying attention to how people are playing, it's not that hard to get the 25. It's when you get those advanced cards, like the multicolor cards are actually really difficult with just like, let's just sit down and play. So like, I think you have to have that extra layer.
But the only point I'm making is this person may go right to left, but the person next to him may go left to right. So what I'm saying is I don't make any standards. If you're right, you have to watch everybody and all I'll say is whatever you do the same thing every time. That's the only rule going in. But also with discards, and I know people who've been playing Hanabi a lot still have anxiety over discards. Discards to me are easy. Like because that's your problem. Discards aren't my responsibility. So if I discard a 5 or I discard a danger tile, that's on you.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I feel the same way.
I am happy discarding. That's an easy move.
I need clues, man. Like there's so many Hanabi players that like just will use their clues because they feel like they have to. It's like, no, don't use the clues just because. I really do think we're generally on the same page. I just add the extra layer of the multicolor. So I think that we would both enjoy playing Hanabi with one another. That
absolutely. And I play with multicolors with like my people who played Hanabi a lot. I play multicolors all the time now. Love it. Okay, and last but not least, I want to give an honorable mention, and I don't know if you consider this, but I guess it's sort of maybe a genre, but werewolf. Okay, because I don't know if it's technically a cooperative game, but it sort of is, right? Because again, Jason, I wanted to ask you about this because since you're, like the cooperative, guy and everything, do you consider like one versus many cooperatives? Do you consider social deductions cooperatives? What do you yes or no?
I mean, okay, so the co-op community is divided on that. There are some people that are very like, we really are like you get into debates in our Discord about this stuff sometimes where it's like, some people are like, okay, if it's not everybody, all together, then it's not cooperative, it's something else. And to me, it's like, if there's cooperation in the design, if I'm cooperating in a game, one versus many, team versus team, like Captain Sonar to me, Captain Sonar is like one of the most cooperative games I've ever played. And it's technically not a cooperative game, it's a team versus team game, but I'm playing with 4 players. I'm doing the same thing that I would be doing if I was in a cooperative game, like any real-time game. I think that Captain Sonar is amazing. So then when it comes to a game like Werewolf, see, I guess like it's difficult for me because I just don't like social deduction. Like I am not.
I get it.
Like it's just, to me, it really is like people just they bring in the stupidest knowledge. Oh, you have a lot of hair on your arm, so therefore I think you're the werewolf.
Oh, I know. Yes, I know.
You're not even playing anymore. So so maybe I think so. And there are some like the Resistance, right? I think the Resistance is a kind of like, I think that would be closer to like a cooperative game because it is, there's teams. But Werewolf is just such a mess. I am not going to speak for Werewolf. It's a giant mess.
No, I get it, and I get it. It's totally random because you really start the game with no information. It's just like picked. However, it does sort of mix the two in a sense, right? Because the werewolves essentially are playing with open information because they know who each other are, so they have all open information, and the villagers are playing with hidden information. Some of them, so it's kind of like a mix between the two. But I just didn't know if it would. But again, I'm starting.
I'd say it pushes it. I'd say you're pushing it, and you're going to get a lot of pushback from the community if you'd say that's a cooperative game.
Oh no, you're getting a lot of pushback. The comments, you're going to have to answer the comments. Not me.
We love you, people. I'm very nice to my commenters, even if you disagree. People know I'm very nice to you.
So there you are.
Timm Metivier from the Meepleville Cafe. This was an absolute pleasure. This was everything I thought it was and more. Please,
yes, Jason.
We did a lot of promos, so just like kind of cap us off. Meepleville Cafe, that gaming cafe is about to open at 100% capacity, following every single guideline.
Absolutely,
very meticulous. We have to really emphasize that.
Yes.
Maybe we're kind of talking. Maybe it makes some people uncomfortable. Where it's like, oh, is it safe? It's like the guidelines are there for a reason. I think that's kind of the perspective there, and we follow. And Timm, I think, is very clear. Follows them to the T.
Yeah, exactly true. So please, if anybody is out in Vegas and ever thought about it, come in, wear your mask. We got hand sanitizer all over the place. Enjoy yourself. And we're doing the best we can with the current conditions. And hopefully life will get more and more back to normal sooner than later. So
if you could change your mind, you can change the world. So until next time, later, everybody.
Absolutely. Jason, thank you so much, man. Take care.